be losing its grip on the armed army, but for the first time in many years, left and right closed ranks to put the government on the mat today. The opposition-sponsored Bharat Bandh was a huge success, particularly in BJP and left-ruled states. There were no signs at all of the left trying to justify siding with the Saffron Brigade. The opposition led the charge as one, piling the pressure on the government. And the Congress did feel the heat. In fact, stung by the new equation, the grand old party termed the alliance the result of the left's blind opposition to the Congress.
From the street to parliament, it's a straight road.
It is a voluntary support by the people of the country towards the call given by the BJP and the NDA.
सोनिया जी और राहुल गांधी क्यों बैठे हैं?
A rare show of strength by the opposition. Saffron and red just merged for the day. These are the united colours of the opposition. All political divisions were blurred, ideologies brushed aside. Price rise brought together the two opposite poles of Indian democracy. The opposition, which was in tatters after the cut motion, today hit back with a bang. From donkeys to bicycles, from advertisements to SMSs. The opposition tried everything possible to ride on the anger of the common man. This one SMS forwarded by the BJP tells us the entire story.
Petrol prices in Pakistan 26 rupees per litre, Bangladesh rupees 22 per litre, Cuba rupees 19 per litre, but in India rupees 53 per litre. I support Bandh. What about you?
Identical messages, different means. If the left chose a corporation bus, the BJP's Ravi Shankar Prasad tried to ride the advantage home.
Because of the rising prices of petroleum products, it is difficult for common man to move on car and vehicle.
Major leaders were taken into preventive custody.
Government should take note of the strong message that is being sent through this massive action, and this is not going to be end.
The anger of the people when prices increase is a message to the government.
A successful Bandh across the country, the message could not be clearer. India's red corner, West Bengal, witnessed a complete shutdown, although Mamata chose not to hit the streets and embarrass the government. The BJP protest in Kolkata was enough to surprise many.
The 12-hour nationwide Bandh has paralyzed Kolkata completely today. We are in the heart of the city. It's not only the left front that is supporting and extending support to this Bandh, but also the BJP, the state BJP, no matter what number they are in, but they are too on the streets trying to make this Bandh as successful as possible.
But the flashpoint was Lucknow, where the Samajwadis and BJP cadre jointly took on the Mayawati administration. Police lathi-charged protesters and used water cannons to disperse the protesters. Arun Jaitley and Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi courted arrest here. In Bihar too, BJP and JDU tried to put up a united front. Already battered by the recent Modi controversy, the Bandh did bring them a lot closer. The price rise issue has given the opposition a new life and a new sense of unity.
Round one has no doubt gone in the favor of the opposition parties. But the biggest challenge is the next level, where they will have to prove that this unity was not only for cameras and this was not a public posturing act, but they're actually serious in taking on the government in both the houses of the parliament. With bureau inputs, Atish Rasar in Delhi for Headlines Today.
Alright, that brings us to our first big face-off question on Centre Stage tonight. We're asking, has the Aam Aadmi lost confidence in the government? It was a resounding success, this Bharat Bandh. in opposition-ruled states. So has the Aam Aadmi lost his confidence in the government? Here in our studios, Nirmala Sitharaman, national spokesperson of the BJP, Atul Anjan, national secretary of the CPI, Paranjoy Guha Thakurta, senior political and economic analyst, and joining us from his residence here in Delhi is Dr. Abhishek Singhvi, MP and national spokesperson of the Congress party. I want to start with you, Dr. Singhvi. Sugar at 45 rupees a kilo, moong dal at 85, haldi at 200, petrol at 55. Has the UPA failed the Aam Aadmi? Price rise is breaking the back of the Aam Aadmi. We saw a manifestation of that today in the Bharat Bandh. It was supported by the common man.
Let's get a few facts clear. The so-called Bharat Bandh, in the name of the Aam Aadmi, has done maximum damage to the Aam Aadmi. They have obstructed the ordinary civic life of the Aam Aadmi. It's absolutely wrong to suggest that the Aam Aadmi is supporting this kind of a bandh. Yes, in a certain areas of government-sponsored bandhs where the BJP or the NDA is ruling the states, there has been a show of strength precisely because they wanted to make sure that the bandh is seen to have the support of the Aam Aadmi. That the Aam Aadmi is far more intelligent than the opposition makes him out to be. Number one, they forget that it is in the name of the Aam Aadmi that he has caused the maximum discomfort by these bandhs. Number two, it is for that reason that the Supreme Court way back in 12 or 13 years ago declared such bandhs unconstitutional.
No, but the fact is, Dr. Singhvi, the fact is, Dr. Singhvi, we got callers all through the day here on this channel, and they called us from Mumbai, from Delhi, from Tamil Nadu, from Hyderabad, and most of these are Congress-ruled states. Yes. For the first time, the Aam Aadmi in this country is not apathetic or even antagonistic to a bandh, but he's actually empathizing and sympathizing with the sentiment of the bandh, and that's a fact that the Congress cannot brush away.
I have long ago stopped believing in your straw polls and SMSs of television channels. I think political history has taught television channels themselves not to believe in that.
So you're then brushing away, Mr. Dr. Singhvi, you're brushing away
of course
public
I'm brushing away
opinion.
telephone calls. No,
that's the sentiment of the people of this country. Isn't that Aam Aadmi?
Look, let me do one thing. I have three people all ranged against me. I have you as a fourth person. At least give me a few moments to complete my sentence.
All right, go ahead.
If you don't give me 3 times the time, give me at least twice the time.
Go ahead.
I am saying that straw telephone calls to your television channel do not constitute the Aam Aadmi's opinion. That's why opinion polls and exit polls have failed, and that's what your channels and other channels have realized and stopped doing. So let's not get such kind of telephone calls in the way.
Okay.
Let me point out that this is a bandh supposedly called mainly for the fuel price rise. Now the fuel price rise, the BJP, when it was in power, increased petrol more than 20 times. Not 20 times in quantum, but 20 on 20 occasions. They increased diesel, kerosene on 4 occasions. They increased diesel on several occasions. Our increases are minimalist. They are the absolute minimum necessary. They are a fraction of what they could be or should be according to experts. I'll give you one example only, and there are many other facts I have. Kerosene we've increased after 6 years for the first time in 2004 till today, no increase.
Fair enough.
First time we've increased by 3 rupees.
I want to get Nirmala Sitharaman to respond to that. That's something that the Congress has been consistently saying, that the BJP when it was in power, the NDA when it was in power, for example PDS kerosene went up from 2 rupees 50 paise a litre in January of 98 to 9 rupees a litre in March of 2002. That's a hike of 250%.
Ultimately.
Yeah, 258%.
But let's understand the larger context in which this delinking of administrative price mechanism has been done now. For the last 1 year, from the panchayat level to the parliament, we are repeatedly, not just us, many parties have been repeatedly saying about the food price inflation. Today the prices of essential goods, even the dal, chawal which an ordinary citizen can afford earlier, have become beyond his means. Now at this time, nobody is suggesting that we want the national oil companies to be at loss permanently. It's a larger issue. We all will have to apply our mind on it. We'll have to see which is the best way to do.
So is the bandh the best way to do that then?
No, certainly not. But after having gone up to the level of cut motion in the parliament, in spite of that, when the Congress party is not even responding towards cutting the price down or addressing the issues of poverty, addressing issues of PDS failure, and not even telling us what is the number of below poverty line people there are.
How do you respond to the Congress's charge that you increase the price of kerosene 258%?
Yes, we did. But we also made sure at that time the people were not suffering with other consequences such as food price inflation, which prevails today. At this kind of food price inflation, the ordinary man is unable to buy his own necessities. Now, if you raise the price of diesel as a result of defreezing it, it's going to have a cascading effect. Sooner, within a month, you're going to have nearly 20% food price inflation, which nobody can afford.
Which is already at 17%,
and
so 20% is not far off.
The issue is, look at it, don't just go back to NDA time out of context. Look at this crisis the country is going through.
Dr. Singhvi, just going back and saying that the BJP had a bad record is not a good enough defense. The fact is that food price inflation is already 17-18%. You know, the entire basket of oil has about 40% weightage or close to that on consumer price inflation. The fact is that price rise is breaking the back of the Aam Aadmi, and the impression that's coming across, and this is not what Nirmala Sitharaman is saying or not what a television anchor is saying, this is what the Aam Aadmi is saying, that the impression that's coming along is that the Congress is either oblivious to it or doesn't really care.
How is that possible? There is nobody more concerned about the price rise of food products, certain selected few food products, there are. But certainly what I have referred to the BJP is to give you an example of the hypocrisy and double talk. It is only 1 out of 8 defenses. It's certainly not the main defense. What is the main defense? The main defense is the BJP and the opposition does not say anything when indirectly the same Aam Aadmi is subjected to a subsidy of 1,10,000 crores. That subsidy comes out of the same tax, indirect tax, which the same Aam Aadmi pays. That's all right. When we try to bring
tell me this, in January of this year, food price inflation was 17%, today it's 16%. What has the Congress managed to do in the last 6 months to bring down the prices of essential commodities? Now you've increased petrol and diesel, which like Nirmala has been saying, will only have a cascading effect. If you really care about the Aam Aadmi, will you roll back the price, this price hike?
No, you see, you are constantly mixing up two issues. Roll back, you are now talking in the context of the fuel price increase. I have just told you that the fuel price increase, a indirect huge tax suffered by the same Aam Aadmi, has been in fact more realistically recognized and done away with by reducing subsidies. We are still suffering under a subsidy regime of 53,000 crores as against 1,10,000 crores. There is a softening. The minimum amount, for example, kerosene, there is a 15 rupee subsidy still. We've increased first time 3 rupees in 6 years. We should have increased 18 rupees if the full subsidy was to be eliminated.
No, let me put a straight question.
These are real harsh facts.
Let's get a straight answer to a straight question.
The government has taken a
Will
bold
there
decision.
be a rollback of this fuel price hike? It's a straight question, sir. Can we get a straight answer, please?
No, there is no question of asking a straight question and asking for a straight answer on an issue on which I have no locus to comment. How can I predict the future? How can I say anything about the future? All I can say is today, as I speak to you, things stand as they stand. The price increases are minimalist, extremely moderate, much less than what could have been done and was necessary in terms of international prices. And one more thing, these prices, unlike what has been spread around, have a negligible impact on food prices. The cascading effect of these transportation and other prices is less than 0.0 some percent.
Is that true, Parunjo?
And we have had periods, including now.
You're the independent economic analyst. You know better than most of us. Yes. What is the effect of this fuel price hike, or what is the likely effect of this fuel price hike?
If you take a very, very simple mechanical arithmetical calculation, then you say the wholesale price index will go up by 0.9%. But that just doesn't happen. On the ground, if transportation costs go up by say X percent, typically the retailer will increase prices much more than X percent. So there is what is described, as you rightly pointed out, a cascading effect. Second point, when you say inflation is coming down from 17% to 12%, it doesn't mean the prices of products are coming down. It's just the rate at which the prices were going up, that rate has decelerated. Second point I wanted to make, I want to talk a little bit about the political economy of this whole business. There is nothing as far as international oil prices are concerned to warrant this sudden increase in oil prices. For the better part of the last 12 months, international prices of crude oil have been fluctuating between $70 and $80 a barrel.
That's right.
So there's nothing suddenly. Second point, half of the price that a consumer pays for diesel, 30% of the price that a consumer half of the price of petrol, 30% of the price of diesel goes as taxes, and the bulk of these taxes go to the government of India, not to the state governments.
That's right.
So the simple point is follows: the government of India, the UPA government, seems to be far more concerned about maintaining the health of the government and not so much the health of the ordinary people of this country.
I
mean, I think that
Dr. Singhvi, you want to respond to that? It seems like the impression that's going around is the UPA is more concerned about the health of its oil marketing companies than the health of the Aam Aadmi. I want you to respond to those two specific points raised by Paranjoy. One, what was the overriding need to raise the prices now that for the last 12 months oil has been hovering around $70 a barrel? There's no overt increase there. And two, when a bulk of this is going back as taxes to the government of India, why can't the government reduce that and thereby ease the burden on the Aam Aadmi?
I'm not going to repeat what I've said earlier. I'm going to only add very specifically to the 2 points you've raised. One, what has been now increased is certainly not professed to be in the context of a surge in international prices. It is the result of accumulation of delayed increase by months and months and months. There were increases in international prices earlier which we absorbed 100%. There was no increase done here, although it was warranted. It was deferred, it was postponed. After all, some time has to come when part of the increase has to be done. So everybody knows this is the delayed effect of what could have been done earlier. Number two, as far as the issue about the government tax is concerned, is absolutely right. There are only two things. One, there is the amount of government tax on these petroleum products which you can do away with. You do away with it, what happens? Your deficit increases by that amount. Where does the deficit come from? From the same indirect tax on the same Aam Aadmi. So you get a deficit of the national deficit increasing from 5 to 10, 10 to 15%, it's all right. But to just keep people pleased, don't take a hard decision, don't take a bold decision, don't bite the bullet, and don't increase it by a moderate amount.
I'm glad that you're talking about biting the bullet, but what have they done in the last 1 year? In looking at the inflation which is just going unbridled, common man, we were accused of talking about development without a human face, without being inclusive. What has happened today that we do not want to address issues related to essential prices and inflation which is going unbridled?
Okay.
Can the government tell us what specific steps they've taken to control food prices?
Okay, Dr. Singhvi, if you're still there, all right, we'll go across to him in just a moment. But I want to bring up the second face-off question that we're having on center stage tonight. As CII, the Confederation of Indian Industry, has come out and said 3,000 crore rupees were wasted today for the Bharat Bandh. Is that too high a price to pay? While we said at the beginning of the show that the Aam Aadmi seemingly supported the Bharat Bandh, he may not have necessarily supported the manner in which normal life was paralyzed. Atul Anjan, is that a fair thing to do to the Aam Aadmi? Why drag the Aam Aadmi into this? It's a political protest. Let it go on. Why affect daily life? Why paralyze normal life?
In a democratic system, what are the other means of protest? You had a protest inside the parliament. You had a protest outside the parliament. And we thought it proper because the government has failed to understand the real situation, though they made many commitments that wait for 2 months, there will be very good paddy production, wait for 2 months another, there will be very good vegetable production. Then they said, wait, there will be a bumper wheat crop and the prices will be controlled. And now the Prime Minister is saying, wait till 2010 December, prices will be controlled.
No, but during this period, is it then fair to inconvenience the public to make your point?
Not at all. I'm telling you, where is the inconvenience?
Let me give you examples.
I am saying, I am just answering it. It is inconvenience for CII people. I welcome it. I think we are fighting for the common people.
No, it's not the CII. It's not the CII. Let me give you examples. Let me give you examples. And I want you, Nirmal, also to respond to this. In the Jandewala metro station here, just outside our office, the BJP workers barged in, the metro services were disrupted for 15 minutes. In Rajiv Chowk, which is less than 2 kilometers away from here, metro services were disrupted. In Mumbai, at the Borivali station, and this has been done by Shiv Sena workers, these are your allies in Maharashtra, they pulled people out of the Mumbai local and slapped them. Do you condone this?
We certainly do not support any violent activity which has been indulged by anybody for that.
What about inconveniencing the public?
Inconvenience, yes, certainly inconvenience. But I would want to ask you to do the Aam Aadmi a favor by asking them and asking the political structure, I mean political parties also, as to what else is left for us to say. We've gone from the panchayat level till the parliament, raised all kinds of questions for them to answer. Today, Mrs. Sonia Gandhi is running a parallel cabinet in the name of National Advisory Council and looking at support system for the poorest to the poor. But in spite of the increases in the price in the last whole year, we have not had a word coming from her or from Manmohan Singh.
No, but
what are the? Wait a minute.
But it's okay to.
Let me finish.
Jam traffic. It's okay to break.
I am saying very
Is that convenient?
No, let me finish
Hundreds and thousands and lakhs of people are standing in queue for the public distribution system.
No, please let me finish this.
It's okay then to disrupt metro services, disrupt local train services.
You are disturbing the life of the people.
No, let me finish.